Part 2. Verdant Wind. Harpstring Moon. The Golden Scheme. Claude leverages his victory at the Battle of Gronder to secure reinforcements from Alliance lords. Meanwhile, the Imperial Army continues to tighten its defenses at Fort Mercius in anticipation of an attack on the Imperial capital.
Our objective is Enbar, the Imperial capital, but our greatest obstacle lies before that.
And what's that?
Fort Mercius. If we can't pass through, we won't be able to reach Enbar.
Fort Mercius, the impregnable fortress, or so it's called.
If I recall correctly, it's sometimes referred to as the Stubborn Old General.
It is a massive fortress that was constructed to protect the Imperial capital.
The Imperial army we defeated has withdrawn to Enbar. Fort Mercius should be short on soldiers for now.
It would be best to take it before enemy reinforcements arrive. Still, there's a reason it's been called impregnable. The only real question is what our fearless leader intends to do.
Sorry for the delay, everyone. Those mewling lords kept me from leaving for quite some time.
So, were you able to secure additional reinforcements?
It's gonna have to wait until next month. It doesn't look like they can afford to keep supporting us at present.
Then what should we do about Fort Mercius? Do you plan on waiting around?
No, if we wait until next month, the enemy will have bolstered their defenses. That said, the prevailing theory is that you need triple your enemy's forces to take a fortress with a frontal assault.
Right. That's what we were taught at the Academy. And this is Fort Mercius we're talking about. It's renowned for its strong defenses.
Our current army isn't nearly strong enough. What to do?
Whatever you do, just don't ask us to scale those huge walls. We'd end up dead when they hurl rocks down at us.
Yeah, no thanks. If only someone would open up the gates for us from the inside.
Unfortunately, we don't have any spies in there. Wait a minute. I've got it. We sneak in, stir up confusion, and open the gates ourselves to let our allies in.
Right, that's what I was saying all along.
Right, nice one, Hilda. But how do you propose we go about sneaking in?
Disguises? If we dress up like Imperial soldiers, maybe they'll think we're allies and let us in.
Do you really think they'd just open the gates for us? I'd be pretty dumbfounded if that worked.
No, she's onto something. It's a good idea, Hilda. We just need to refine it a bit, and we'll be in there before we know it.
Really? Go me!
What is your definition of refining the idea? I know your go-to strategy is nausea-inducing poison, but...
Oh, I maybe ate too much. My stomach hurts.
Raphael, why are you eating meat during a war council?
So, fearless leader, I'm guessing you're going to keep the crucial parts of your scheme under wraps until the time comes, aren't you?
You know me so well, Judith. Whether we like it or not, this war puts a damper on all of our spirits. What's wrong with trying to have a little fun every now and again? Just leave the details to me.
Thank you for helping me with my training again today, Professor. I'm gonna keep at it for a while longer, so you go on ahead. I can't. Not when I'm right on the cusp of using my power to greater potential. Surely you yourself are tired. Just don't worry about me, okay? I'm sorry, Professor. It was careless of me to continue, despite how fatigued I clearly was. I probably should have listened to you. Now I've made a mess of things. I can't help but feel the need to rush in all things constantly. You get that way when you realize you haven't got much time. I believe I've mentioned that House Ordelia was, at one time, being controlled by people from the Empire. During that time, strange people, mages perhaps, came and performed rituals on all the youth within my family. With the Empire monitoring our every move, my parents could do nothing but watch in horror as all of this unfolded. One after another, the children died, until the only one left was me. You know, my hair wasn't always this color. During their experiments, they'd been doing things with my blood. One morning, I awoke like this, a shock of white hair, all trace of pigment gone. Upon seeing me, the mages were delighted. They realized that their experiments had finally succeeded. Sure enough, they ran a test and saw that two crests coexisted within me. Losing pigment from my hair wasn't the only loss. The mages informed me that my lifespan was now greatly shortened. 5 more years at most, perhaps less. Shortly thereafter, the mages lost interest in me, and we never saw them in the Ordelia household again. Since all that, our family has been in decline. It's challenging now even to govern our territory. After all my mother and father have suffered, I at least want them to have peace as they grow older. That is all I wish for, but I haven't much time to ensure it comes to pass. It's not like what's been done to me can be undone. Professor, the only way I can conceive of would be to remove my crest somehow. But I don't know if that's even remotely possible. Even if it were, I wouldn't be of much use to you and the others without my crests. You sound resolved. I'll allow your resolve to bolster my own. Thank you, Professor.
Fort Mercius is old and strong. Its reputation for durability is equal to that of Aryan Road. Are we really going to leave this to Claude, with a plan concocted by Hilda of all people? I thought you might be, with how secretively that man devises his schemes. Let us hope the end result is not too outlandish.
Can't be serious. My relationship with the Boar Prince began even before I was born. He was always by my side. You might even say that, at one time, we were best friends. I couldn't fathom the depth of his hatred for the Empire. So much anguish. Could I have saved him? Could I have stopped him?
Hello.
Edelgard, Dimitri, And our own Claude. All the house leaders from way back when, assembled again at Gronder. I wonder what their thoughts were as they headed out to the battlefield.
Ah, Professor, I have a question for you. Have you heard of the Death Knight? I'm referring to that Imperial general who has been operating under that moniker. Nothing is certain yet, but I get the feeling we'll have to face him soon enough.
Definitely.
After that great battle earlier, the balance of power in Fodlan has shifted greatly. To get revenge for all our fallen friends, we'll have to stake our lives on the fight that lies before us.
Some say they saw Gilbert, who used to serve in the Knights of Seros, at Gronder. Apparently, he was originally a Knight of the Kingdom who served Prince Dimitri. He was an exceptional knight. I wish I could have fought by his side.
Let's see. Guess what I noticed? I can see further than most other people can see. But I can't figure the point of seeing further than an arrow can fly, since I can't shoot what I see. Yeah, I suppose it could be real useful for finding Lady Rhea, too. Thanks, Professor. I think I get it now. I'm gonna put my eyes to real good use.
What?
Fort Mercius is a keep that was constructed to defend the imperial capital, Enbar. We cannot enter the capital without first capturing that fort. But once we have it, the city should be almost entirely at our mercy. Whatever strategy you have in mind, I have faith that it will lead to victory.
Each step closer to Enbar, I'm reminded of another part of my past. Riches and poverty, glory and failure. That city has it all. And if I'm honest, sometimes I miss it. That's how the past works, though, isn't it? It's always a different story than what you really lived.
Fort Mercius is the Empire's single most fortified military installation. Utterly impregnable, they say. I wonder, do you happen to know the nickname given to Fort Mercius? Indeed, a very good answer. But of course, you'd know that. Seems Fodlans give everyone and everything a nickname. Why, you were called the Ashen Demon. Myself, I have been called the Father of Crestology, which is a nickname as well as a title, I suppose.
Hi.
I think Hilda's quite a tactician, disguising ourselves as enemy soldiers to sneak in undetected. A stroke of brilliance. With this strategy, we can really snatch victory from the jaws of deceit. Yes, with you leading our fighters, I've no doubt the Empire will suffer an embarrassing deceit. Get it? Deceit again?
Please tell Claude not to give us any more ridiculous orders. I've reached out through all of my channels, but there are limits to these things. I'll have to recruit an entire town's worth of people if I ever plan on making enough Imperial uniforms.
Each time we take a step forward, more blood is spilled. But by spilling that blood, we're able to take yet another step forward. War is always a cruel affair. But luckily, we have each other to lean on. We've steeled our hearts. We won't be broken. I couldn't agree more. Without them, we could never have made it this far. Oh, and about taking the fort, I'll need a tad more time to prepare our plan. It's called an impregnable fortress for a reason, after all. My contingencies need contingencies this time, or we may not pull it off.
Thanks so much. You're a sweetheart. I wonder how far we can get with this plan, dressing up like Imperial soldiers to sneak in. Claude said it could use some refinement. Any ideas? Claude dressed as a woman? I don't understand what the point of that would be. On second thought, let's just stick to the plan as originally conceived. That seems safer. I wonder how...
Professor, the battle at Gronder Field was gruesome, wasn't it? But perhaps it's irresponsible to look away, to close our eyes to the horrors of war. As survivors, we must ensure that all these lives were not lost in vain. We must see the tragic foundations upon which we'll build our future. May an age of peace rise from the ashes, so that all this sacrifice means something.
As I suspected, they seem to be supporting the Imperial Army now. Though I don't quite know who they are yet. Nor do I know what tricks they'll use against us next. We can't afford to let our guard down.
Need something? This one? You're all set. See you again soon.
Professor, so many people died in the battle at Gronder. And here we are, preparing for the next battle as if nothing happened the day before. It's almost easier to think about war as theater, with the stage an entire continent. Something like that? If an accident happens on stage, the next day's performance must be unaffected. Everyone just pretends like everything is fine, focusing on their role in the play.
I'd come here after getting chased out of the Empire. There's no place for our kind there anymore. But there are still many inside Empire territory who haven't abandoned their faith in the Church of Seros. I pray that one day we'll get the chance to rebuild the church within the Empire.
You there!
Really?
Professor.
Well...
Hey,
Professor!
So, you see, Professor, laying siege to a keep is like asking a girl out on a date. First, you get past her defenses, then you make your move. I knew you'd get it, Professor. Anyway, you know more about tactics than me, so I don't know why I'm offering you advice.
You know when you work your muscles and they start screaming? That means you gotta be nice to them. If your muscles are hungry, you gotta feed them. And let them rest when they're tired. Of course! If my muscles hurt, then I hurt. If they're hungry, well then I'm hungry too. What's with the confused face, Professor? You look like you don't get a word I'm saying.
Standing face to face with those whom I went to school with. On the field of battle. How inhuman war is. How horrifying. My heart feels shattered. It is my hope that this war marks the end of such foolish behavior.
Not possible. After the battle at Gronder, some people claim they saw my father. They said he walked off the battlefield clutching His Highness's dead body. So long as Father's alive, I don't need anything else. I hope to see him again one day.
Claude takes care of the strategy, you direct the troops, and the rest of us focus on the fighting. As long as the system keeps working, we can win any battle, no matter the odds. That's what everyone's saying, anyway. Hope you can keep up with our expectations, Professor.
Hey there! We merchants of the Alliance territories were excited to hear of your victory in the last battle. We don't much like the prospect of doing business under the heel of the Empire. The Alliance is what we know and love. But more than that, it's low on regulations, which is great for business. Please keep up the good work, Professor. The merchants of the world are on your side.
No.
Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. Is it true that we'll be assaulting Fort Mercius next? That doesn't sound like the brightest idea. I've heard that it's built to withstand an attack from even the largest of armies. And not to tell you how to do your job, but don't do it. I'm not ready to say my final goodbyes to everyone.
Wow. I hardly recognize everyone. Their faces have changed so much. More experience in the eyes, and more pain. I'm glad that they're stronger, but I hate to think they've all become hardened killers. Look after them, okay? Try to keep them on the straight and narrow.
never used to care whether I lived or died. But after seeing so much death firsthand, I now realize how precious life truly is. I'm ashamed of how arrogant I was to think that death could mean so little.
No.
No sale. A class reunion on the battlefield? That's bleak. That must have been so hard on everyone. You gotta keep looking after them all. I mean, they still look to you for guidance, you know?
Okay.
Professor!
The fish in this pond get fed every day, so they're swimming all lazy and serene. But the only reason they're kept here is so that they can one day be used for food. But the fish don't know that, so they just swim around happily. It's a bit of a miserable thought. But aren't soldiers much the same?
Pardon me. I've come to deliver vegetables we harvested in the village to the monastery's dining hall. Because of the season, I couldn't really pick that much. But I wanted to help you guys out, even just a little bit. We're busily planting seeds, so when things start to grow, I'll be back.
Right.
Maybe.
Professor!
Nah. Doesn't matter how sturdy the keep. If the commander defending it is incompetent, it can fall as easy as anything. That's what they say, at least. I wonder if that applies to Fort Mercius. All I know is, if I was the Emperor, I'd never in a million years assign an incompetent commander to a fort as important as that one.